Let's get right into it. The last room on the left. The last room on the left. The old Golden Lantern Hotel stood at the far end of Bellamy Road, a relic from a bygone era of elegance and indulgence. Its corridors were wide and its carpets thick, muffling footsteps like a secret. The night manager, Mr. Langford, prided himself on the discretion of his staff and the quality of their service. But that pride cracked the morning after the disappearance in the last room on the left. Room 617, a corner suite with a perfect view of the city skyline. Its brass door plaque gleamed under the hallway's dim lights, a silent testament to the exclusivity of the guests who stayed there. That night, the guest was Dr. Charles Mendel, a mild-mannered academic who had arrived late, carrying only a battered briefcase and a collection of books that smelled of old libraries and cracked leather. Mendel had checked in at 9:30 p.m. He spoke little, but Langford recalled a nervousness in his eyes, a kind of anxious anticipation that made him glance over his shoulder more than once as he crossed the lobby. Langford had offered him a porter, but Mendel declined. "I prefer solitude," he'd said, his voice barely above a whisper. By morning, the room was silent. Housekeeping knocked twice, then 3 times. No answer. Langford himself used the master key, but the door refused to budge. It was locked from the inside, deadbolted, chain latched, the works. When maintenance arrived with tools, they pried the door open inch by inch, wood splintering in protest. What they found inside stopped every heart cold. Room 617 was empty. No sign of Mendel, no footprints on the carpet, no disturbance in the bed. The sheets were smooth as untouched snow. The bathroom door stood open, light off. His briefcase remained on the writing desk, still latched, but his books were missing, every one of them. The only sign of life was a message, scrawled on the inside of the window glass in ragged letters. "They're here." The letters were cut deep, as if gouged by a diamond ring or a sharp blade. They faced outward, as though Mendel wanted the city beyond to read them. But who were they? And how had Mendel vanished from a locked room? Detective Evelyn Cross arrived by midday. She was a woman with a reputation for solving the unsolvable. She studied the door, the lock, and the window with the patience of a watchmaker. No secret panels, no hidden passages, just a bolted room sealed from within. Who was the last person to see Dr. Mendel? She asked Langford, who stood wringing his hands like a guilty party. "I was," he admitted. "I gave him his key. Watched him walk to the elevator alone. I never saw him leave." Cross surveyed the room. The window was shut tight. A sheer curtain moved slightly in the breeze from the radiator. She touched the carved letters on the glass. They were cold and sharp under her fingers. "Mendel wrote this from the inside," she murmured. "But where did he go?" She checked the ceiling for panels, the floor for hidden doors. Nothing. She tested the walls, knocked and listened. Solid. The staff had no record of anyone entering or leaving. Security cameras showed only Mendel entering his room. No one else. No exit. Cross turned to the briefcase on the desk. She clicked it open. Inside, an old book lay on top. The Art of the Unseen, a study of vanishing acts through history. Marginalia filled the page's notes scribbled in a desperate hand. One phrase repeated again and again. "They are always one step behind." Below that was a sketch, a rough diagram of the hotel floor plan, with a circle around room 617. Cross's gaze drifted back to the message on the glass. "They rehear." Who were they? And what did Mendel fear? She moved to the window and unlocked it. It opened onto the sheer drop of 6 stories. Wind howled at her face. A thin ledge, no wider than a boot heel, ran beneath the window. No footprints, no sign of a climb. Could he have jumped? Langford ventured. Cross shook her head. No body below. And no sign of anyone falling. Besides, he was afraid of something. He wouldn't run to it. She turned back to the room. Her eye caught the mirror on the opposite wall. Smudged fingerprints formed a faint circle, as though someone had pressed both palms against it. She moved closer and noticed something strange. The mirror frame was loose. She pried it gently away and found a gaping hole in the plaster. Inside an ancient service tunnel, a relic from when the hotel had hidden all manner of Prohibition-era secrets. The tunnel yawned black and deep, descending somewhere below the foundation. A chill crept up Cross's spine. She shone her flashlight and saw footprints in the dust-fresh ones leading away. "Mr. Langford," she said, her voice cold as the wind. "Call the police. Dr. Mendel was taken." "Taken?" Langford's voice trembled. "By who?" Cross studied the words on the glass again. "They're here." She thought of the sketch in Mendel's briefcase, of the shadows that haunted his notes. "I don't know yet," she said. "But I intend to find out." She slipped her flashlight into the dark passage and followed the footprints, leaving room 617 and its mystery waiting like a puzzle half solved. She slipped her flashlight into the dark passage. The tunnel was cold, the air stale with the scent of earth and old stone. Cross moved carefully, her flashlight beam cutting through the darkness. She could feel the weight of centuries pressing in, the secrets of the Golden Lantern Hotel whispering in the hush of the underground. The footprints in the dust led her deeper. They were small, hesitant a man's shoes, not much heavier than her own. She followed them to a fork in the tunnel. One path veered left, down a slope, the other straight and narrow. She paused, listening. Faintly, she heard something, the soft scrape of movement ahead, like cloth against stone. She pressed on, her breath shallow. Around a bend, she found a door, ancient wood, iron-bound. It was slightly ajar. Cross nudged it open and stepped into a room that smelled of mildew and candle wax. Shelves lined the walls, crammed with books and yellowed papers. In the center stood a single chair empty and a table, upon which lay an open ledger. She scanned the pages. Names, dates, room numbers, guests of the hotel stretching back decades. Some names were crossed out with red ink. She saw Mendel's name, fresh and uncrossed. Cross turned, her pulse quickening. Another tunnel led away from this room. She could hear water dripping in the distance, a subterranean stream, or maybe just a leak in the old foundations. She followed the sound. The footprints continued, but they grew fainter, as if Mendel had started running. She quickened her own pace, her light dancing over walls marked with strange symbols, circles within circles, spirals that seemed to twist under her gaze. The symbols reminded her of the ones in Mendel's notebook. Ancient runes, or something older. She took a photo of one, then pressed on. The tunnel opened suddenly into a cavernous space, a cistern, its arched ceiling supported by ancient brick columns. Water pooled in the center, reflecting the flashlight's beam like black glass. In the center of the cistern, she saw movement, a figure, half hidden in the shadows. Dr. Mendel. She called out, her voice echoing in the vault. The figure turned. It was Mendel, pale, wild-eyed, clutching one of his books to his chest. His lips moved, but no words came out. She approached cautiously. "Dr. Mendel, it's Detective Cross. We need to get you out of here." He backed away, eyes fixed on something over her shoulder. "They're here," he rasped. "They've always been here." Cross turned, shining her light around the cavern. Nothing but shadows. But her gut twisted. There was something in the darkness, something she couldn't see. "Who, Dr. Mendel? Who's here?" She pressed. Mendel shuddered. "The ones who built this place. The ones who never left." His voice was no more than a breath now. "They promise knowledge. They promise power. But there's a price. There's always a price." Cross reached out, but he flinched away. "We have to go," she said firmly. "Come with me." But before she could take his hand, a gust of wind rushed through the tunnel behind her, carrying with it a low and human whisper. The water in the cistern rippled, as though something moved beneath the surface. Mendel's eyes went wide. "No," he choked out. "You don't understand. They're here for you too." He turned and bolted for a narrow passage she hadn't seen. Cross followed, heart pounding, the flashlight beam shaking as she ran. The tunnel twisted and turned, the stone walls closing in like a throat. She could feel the air growing colder with every step. Mendel's breathing echoed ahead of her, ragged and desperate. Then he stumbled. She caught up, helping him to his feet. His eyes were glassy now, like a man already half lost. "Please," he whispered, "don't let them take me." Cross tightened her grip. "I won't, but you need to trust me." The tunnel opened into a small chamber, lit by flickering candles. Strange symbols were etched into the walls here too, but these glowed faintly in the dark, as if alive. Cross felt a prickle at the base of her skull. She stepped forward, shielding Mendel behind her. In the center of the room stood an altar of black stone, old as the earth. A whisper filled the air, words she couldn't understand but felt in her bones. Mendel sobbed, sinking to the ground. "It's too late," he said. "They're part of this place. They always were." Cross drew in a steadying breath, her detective's mind racing. She had to get them out of there now. "Come on," she urged, pulling him back from the altar. "We'll find another way." Mendel looked up at her, tears in his eyes. "Promise me," he said. "Promise me you'll never stop until you find the truth." "I promise," Cross said. Then, with one final look at the ancient altar, she led him back into the tunnels, away from the whispers, away from the darkness that reached for them with cold, invisible hands. As they disappeared into the winding passages, the candles flickered and went out one by one, leaving only the echo of footsteps and the memory of the last room on the left.